What are we looking for from Cam Ward and the Titans quarterbacks at training camp next week? This is our quarterback positional preview, the last of 10 positional previews we've done to get ready for Titans training camp. We're going to talk through this position. Will Levis be traded? How many quarterbacks do the Titans keep? And most importantly, can Cam Ward be the guy Titans fans need him to be? This is the Music City Audible. Let's get to it. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible podcast presented by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville in partnership with 440 Sports. I'm Justin Graver. With me, as always, Justin Melo and Justin. Today, we have reached the end of our 10-episode positional preview series, an episode every weekday for the last 2 weeks, and we're finally concluding it with the quarterbacks today. How's it going?
Doing well. It's been fun to put this series together. You guys have been loving it. You've been watching the comments. You've been tuning into every single episode. We really appreciate that. We finally reached the end of it. We left the best position for last, the most exciting one in Tennessee, the most important position in all of professional sports, and the Titans have a number one overall pick at quarterback. I can't wait to talk about Cam Ward in this group, and more importantly, can't wait to watch him at training camp next week.
Yeah, that's the most important part, is what is he going to look like at training camp? So we're going to talk, I think, today about what we're looking for from Cam Ward, what we hope to see, especially as training camp kicks off. And then obviously we'll be back next week to talk about what he's actually doing and how that can evolve. I will say quickly, this position group, I've been waiting so long to get here, Justin, because there's only 4 players. And I want you to realize this, Justin. By the end of this, we'll have spent 10 days talking about all 91 players on the Titans roster. We hit every player for at least a minute or so, giving you some background on every single player that's in Titans training camp. So I'm very excited that we only have to do 4 today, because that means we get to spend more time on Cam Ward and we don't have to talk about back-end roster guys that aren't going to have any impact on the season. But if you are unaware, if you are just catching up on Titans training camp stuff and you haven't paid attention all offseason, Titans have 4 quarterbacks. Cam Ward, the number 1 pick. Will Levis, a second-round pick 3 years ago. And then Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen were signed this offseason. Brandon Allen, experience with Brian Callahan. He was the guy who stepped in and played when Joe Burrow tore his ACL his rookie season. Callahan's second year in Cincinnati. I don't know why I said that out loud, because now I just got suddenly nervous that something similar could happen to Cam Ward and Brandon Allen this year. But he's there if the Titans need him. He knows Callahan's offense and system.
Titans better not need him. They better not need him.
Knock on wood here. If the Titans need him, the season is over. But could that lead to a Jamar Chase? Are we going to spin everything positive? Yes, we will. No, sorry. I'm going to continue with our Cam Ward. Let's get into Cam Ward and what we're really looking for from Cam Ward. Because look, as the unofficial Cam Ward podcast here at the Music City Audible, we have been saying the Titans need to draft Cam Ward since, I think, before anyone else in Titans media was saying they need to do it. I mean, before the Combine, I was saying it, and the Combine is when things really started to turn from the Titans will definitely trade back. So I think we have a lot of background on Cam Ward. I've done multiple videos on him. We've done 100 podcasts on him, and we get to talk about him more today, Justin, which feels like there's, is there anything left to be said? Yes, there's a lot left to be said.
Well, I'm glad you think so, because I'll be honest with you. I don't want to say I'm struggling here, but it's like, as excited as I am to talk about Cam Ward, I almost feel strange that I don't have a lot to say, in the sense of, I thought it looked pretty good at OTAs and minicamp. It looked right where it should be. It was right where it should be if you're optimistic about his outlook. I spoke to a source, I'm going to say on the team, because in truth, it was a source in that building, who said he knows the playbook like the back of his hand, that this staff is just elated with sort of the preparation and the demeanor and how he carries himself and how he's shown up. You probably know all of those things, but I got that on the record from a source that said, we're just elated with where he's at in terms of knowledge of the playbook. You he puts the work in. We've talked about the 5 a.m. sessions where he's dragging the rookies in. There's been 2 or 3 YouTube vlogs now, where 2 of them where he's showing you workout with his rookie pass catchers plus Chig at the University of Miami. Like, there's no questioning his dedication throughout the offseason. I'm excited to measure that growth at training camp. You got to see who Cam Ward is. You got a glimpse of it at OTAs and minicamp. The competitiveness with Calvin Ridley over the ping pong table thing. You had multiple practice reports. By all accounts, he looked pretty good almost every single day. There weren't any disastrous practices. There was ones that were better than others. There was the interceptions to Cody Barton, one of which he threw on purpose, as we all know. And you can go back and watch that video in your feed.
Thank you.
Some practices were better than others, but none of them were bad, and a couple of them were really good. There was that one, I'm already misremembering, where he threw an interception, but then he completed like his next, 13, 14, 15
19.
passes? 19 was it? He completed his next 19 passes after throwing the interception. Like, by all accounts, it looked really good throughout OTAs and minicamp. So excited to continue measuring that growth through training camp, where, the level of intensity, everything is just amped up a notch. It's turned up a notch, right? Like, eventually the pads will come on. They've got multiple joint practices with 2 teams on their preseason schedule. Obviously, they've got 3 preseason games. He'll play in at least 2 of them, we wager. Just can't wait to continue monitoring Cam Ward. Like, once training camp gets here and we've got practice reports to talk about, that's going to be the most exciting aspect of this, obviously, right? Like, it's, what does Cam Ward look like? I'm ranting a little. I said I didn't have a lot to say. It sounds like I do, but I really don't. For me, this is all about just monitoring every single day.
So here's what I'm looking for from Cam Ward at training camp is the operation. It's been extremely clean throughout OTAs and the spring practices, but I started rewatching the 2024 season, Justin. I don't know if I'll have time to really do a whole video on it, but I am formulating thoughts from it. And something that stuck out to me week 1 is Titans are calling timeout as the play clock's running down, coming out, in the first quarter. It's like Brian Callahan's first time running the operation, obviously as the head coach and play caller. Is that going to be a thing that happens a lot with Cam Ward as a rookie, getting used to the shorter play clock that you have time to get the play in, get to the line of scrimmage, see things like, let's see how the reports are of the operation as training camp gets underway. I'm not worried about that at all. In fact, I think he's been knocking that part out of the park so far. But let's see what that looks like when, again, as you said, the intensity gets amped up. And then something really big I'm looking for, 2 big things. Number 1, sideline throws, because there was a big emphasis, it felt like, in OTAs on throwing the ball over the middle. So let's see a little bit more now. And we don't have to. I mean, if they want to tailor the offense to what he does best, and doing what he does best is throwing it, intermediate over the middle of the field, then yeah, we need more of those opportunities. But you can't function an entire offense built on that. So there's going to have to be sideline throws in there as well. Let's see where the accuracy's at, what the rate of throws to the outside are compared to the rate of throws to the inside. That's something I'll be monitoring. And then the big one for me is his downfield accuracy. I think you saw it in the second. If you're a psycho like Justin and I, and you're watching every piece of content that comes out about Cam Ward, if you watched his second workout video that got posted, the more recent one on his YouTube channel, it looked like there was a portion of that workout where he's purely focusing on downfield accuracy on those deep crossers, deep posts, and some go routes where he is dialing in when he needs to release the ball, what spot on the field he's targeting, and trying to drop these in the bucket. And he did a very good job, at least. I don't know what footage was left on the cutting room floor of that Cam Ward video, if they cut out the missed throws, because in the video itself, there are no missed throws, and there's a couple absolutely perfect ones. One where Xavier Restrepo's watching the pass to another player, and he's like, damn, that was a good pass, Cam. So Cam Ward, that downfield accuracy, because I think, if there is something that he struggled with in college, it was the outside the numbers downfield accuracy, sort of that go ball, getting that right balance of loft and distance and zip on it, because you gotta put those up for your player to run underneath them, but you can't hang him in the air forever for a safety to come over. So I'll be interested to see how the downfield accuracy looks and just how aggressive is he in training camp, because there were a lot of reports during OTAs that he was passing up checkdowns or not even looking for checkdowns, because he's big play hunting. He's looking for that big play. And that's something that it's okay to do in OTAs when you're trying to test what you can get away with. But in training camp, I think there is going to have to be more of a balance between getting ready to play week 1 and understanding how to move the ball up and down the field, and also continuing to understand what you can and can't get away with. So where does the aggressiveness meter come down for him when it comes to like always searching for that bigger player, trying to extend the play and find a receiver down the field versus just taking that check down that the defense gives you? I think those are the 3 big things for me: is downfield accuracy, outside the numbers versus middle of the field, and aggressiveness versus taking that check down.
Well, those are really, really good points. And I don't want to throw a wet blanket on it, because I love that you said that, because I didn't, and I do think they're really good points. But I think a lot of that is going to have to be measured during the regular season, in all honesty, too, right? Like, that'll be a work in progress, because, at training camp, you also, like, some of those throws you talked about, we joked interception he threw on purpose, like, you're also testing windows, learning what you could get away with. And that's all very valuable, right? Like, he should be doing those things at training camp. You want to, again, as excited as we are, he's a rookie, right? So it's like NFL windows, they tend to close a lot quicker than they do, especially in, the conference he played in, no disrespect. But I think, defenses weren't always up to par in that conference. His own defense certainly wasn't up to par, and it wasn't in practice. So he's got to learn those things, right? Like, what can I get away with? Let me test these windows. I think training camp is the time to do those things. And it could even give us the impression that, he's still not willing to take checkdowns, or he's not this. And then the season could come and it could look totally different, right? Or it could look the same, right? That's what we'll find out once September, October, November is here. But no, that's great. And the middle, I'm glad you talked about the middle of field stuff, because I thought, as you said, I thought he was a great middle of field thrower at Miami. I thought it was a work in progress towards the sidelines, toward the boundaries. They didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, like, all those guys were small, right? Like Samuel Brown Jr. Who's the other one that didn't get drafted? Jacoby
Isaiah Horton. Isaiah Horton is still at Miami, and he's a big guy. He was, I think, was he a freshman or sophomore this past year? But he's not one that was draft eligible yet, but he might have been the best in terms of pure size, athleticism, talent, the best receiver they had down there. But
wasn't very obviously this past year, right?
Obviously, Xavier Restrepo was their best receiver, so I don't want it to sound like I think Horton was better than him. But in terms of like the profile of an outside X receiver, he's a big guy. But yeah, I agree. The rest of them, Sam Brown and
George, Restrepo, like, all those guys were smaller guys, and they were all draft eligible. They were their older guys. They played a lot of football for them. Hopefully that had an impact on some of the boundary stuff, because he wasn't really able to target anyone very big out there, right? Where now he's got an Alec Manor here who could win that job, or a Van Jefferson, or God forbid a Traylon Burks, but he's going to have someone bigger at X this year. So you do want to see him get better at that. And yes, training camp is going to be one of those perfect opportunities to measure that growth.
Isaiah Horton transferred to Alabama, and he actually had been in college quite a while. He was not a freshman or a sophomore, but the point stands. He did not leave. He did not enter the draft this past season.
Right.
The big question, I think, Justin, and this isn't really this is an interesting thing to me, and I don't know how many other people will find this interesting, but Cam Ward hasn't been named the starting quarterback yet. This is sort of the elephant in the room. He's competing for the starting quarterback job. Well, my question to you, Justin, is this a real competition? Obviously, it's not a real competition. My question is, when does Brian Callahan come up to the podium and say, we've been loving the progress, and Cam's going to be our starter week 1. Like, we've decided that we're going to start preparing for that. Like, at what point is that? Before the first preseason game? After the first preseason game? Like, when do you see that happening? Because for Jaden Daniels last year, it happened after the first preseason game. So Jaden Daniels, number 2 pick on a team that didn't have a quarterback. It was obvious he was going to be the starter. Almost the same situation that Cam Ward has gone through. It wasn't named the starter, but he was getting all the first team reps. And then one preseason game in, Dan Quinn was like, Jaden Daniels is our starter. Is that the same timeline Cam Ward is on? What do you think?
I almost got up and left. I'm glad I'm still here to answer the question, because as soon as you said he hasn't been named the starter, I almost left. It's funny. Before you said the Jaden Daniels thing, and let me be blunt about this, I don't care really about this, but before you said the Jaden Daniels thing, I was already going to say, yeah, I think after the first preseason game. The only reason I'm saying that is because it seems like, Brian Callahan hasn't done it yet. It's intentional why he hasn't done it yet. And if you remembered at OTA's minicamp, we focused on this during one episode. He talked about how they want to do things a little bit differently this year. That's across the whole roster, not just at quarterback. But he specifically mentioned, in a roundabout way, didn't say these words exactly, but they didn't make Will Levis earn it, right? Like, they believed in Will Levis right away. They focused on Will Levis is the guy. Will Levis is the guy. They didn't make him earn it. Maybe they're looking back with that, where they think that's a mistake, right? As they look back, it's easy to try to identify mistakes when Will Levis played as terrible as he did. So I'm going to let you cut in, but it does seem like to me that for the sake of doing things differently, this is going to be a bit different. It's going to take a little bit longer. I think it's silly if it goes beyond the first preseason game.
Yeah, I was just going to cut in to say he told that to Albert Breer, who then reported it on
Right.
Rich Eisen's show, or somebody told that to Albert Breer. I don't know if it was
But I
Callahan
think
directly.
he talked about it, didn't he? I
He
thought
talked about wanting to do things differently, but he did not really talk about Will Levis in a press conference setting.
Gotcha.
That was like a report that he said that, and that's how he feels, which I believe that's how he feels. And I do think that's what he's making Cam Ward earn it, not in his eyes, in the eyes of his teammates. I think he wants it to reach a point where everyone knows who the starter is without him having to name it. And maybe we've reached that point. I think fan-wise, we've definitely reached that point.
Tell you, yeah. But if you are a guy in that room, you'd be surprised. Sometimes they're a little removed from those things, and they're just focused on what's happening here in this room. And I don't care he went number one. I want to see it. So
right.
And they will. They will.
And that's what's going to happen is, once training camp gets underway and he's getting the majority of the first team reps, and maybe there's a little bit of a split, but getting the majority of the first team reps, and we'll see. I guess my point is these players will see that he's the starting quarterback. He deserves to be the starting quarterback. And by the time that they're all wondering why hasn't he been named the starting quarterback yet, that's when Brian Callahan will say, well, obviously Cam Ward is our starter. So I didn't want to spend too long on that, but I do think it's going to be an interesting thing to track for me personally is at what point does it just happen? And when does it finally going to happen? And I think after the first preseason game is a good guess. Let us know in the comments below, you guys, when you think Cam Ward will be named the starter after the first preseason game, before that, after that, let us know. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video. Thanks for tuning in to the Music City Audible presented by Sinkers Beverages. Remember to get your tickets to Sinkers' 40th birthday jamboree at the link in the podcast description. Justin, do you have anything else to say about Cam Ward and what you're expecting or excited for? Because I do think there's another big question here, which is, will Will Levis be traded before the start of the season? But any last thoughts on Cam Ward?
No, I think I've said all I want to say on this episode about Cam Ward. If you guys feel we were a little short on him, I mean, we've covered it so in-depthly throughout the offseason, especially Graver over here. And you can rest assured this podcast will be the official Cam Ward practice report podcast for every single practice. I'm dead serious. We're recording every single practice, and it's going to mainly focus on what Cam Ward did at every single training camp session and the joint practices as well, by the way. So the Cam Ward content is not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, in fact, I have been working for weeks on a video talking specifically about Cam Ward's use of VR. I researched how Jaden Daniels used it, when he started using it, what it did for him and his career, and Cam Ward using the exact same company that Jaden Daniels used. What can it do for Cam Ward? How much does VR really help quarterback development? Why isn't every team in the league using it if it was so important to Jaden Daniels' success? I dug into this and what it can do for Cam Ward this upcoming season. I'm super excited to share this video with you guys. It's dropping on the channel Sunday evening at 4:30 p.m. Central Time. So the Cam Ward content is not going to stop. But we're also going to talk about what the rest of the Titans do and the other position battles and the linebacker and all that, because that's also exciting stuff. What does the offensive line look like when the Pats come on?
We're not going to be that practice is going to get covered.
We're not going to be solely Cam Ward focused. I just didn't want anyone to take what you said the wrong way. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about Cam Ward, but the rest of the team too. And the rest of the team includes Will Levis. Will Brian Callahan and Mike Borgonzi find a trade partner and ship Will Levis out of here? Because here's something that I think this is an interesting debate amongst Titans fans. Sound off in the comments. Where do you fall on this debate? Should Will Levis just be kept as the QB2 for the Titans? I mean, he is as disastrous as the season was last year, he is so obviously more talented than Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle. But then the question is, if your backup quarterback has to play this year, that all that is time that Cam Ward is not being developed. This season is about developing Cam Ward so that you can go compete next year. If they compete this year, that's just gravy on top of it. You are looking to compete next year. And that said, Easton Freeze has been harping on this, to anyone who will listen, that he thinks, and I kind of agree with him, the Titans actually need a terrible backup quarterback, because anytime that Cam Ward is not playing, you want to lose and get as high of a draft pick as possible and do what the Bengals did after they drafted Joe Burrow and then were able to get Jamar Chase.
Though, right? We're not going to speculate injury. You should play all 7.
No, I'm not saying we're speculating injury. I'm just saying, if you're the Titans going into the season, your plan for QB2 is either to have a high upside guy that had a rough year but could still develop in Will Levis, or to have a zero upside guy that
Right.
knows how to like run the like be a general on the field, but isn't going to wow you with a single throw
Right.
in Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle, and ultimately who's not going to go put the team on their back and win you game. They're incapable of going out and winning you a game is Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle. Will Levis is certainly capable of going out and losing you a game. He's also capable, we saw it more in his rookie year, of going out and winning you a game here or there. So what do you do philosophically? Do you want that guy on the roster, or do you just accept that if the very unfortunate scenario happens where Cam Ward has to miss time, we just want to lose those games?
Yeah, let me spearhead this conversation then, because we're on the same page, and I want to talk to Titans fans who maybe aren't on the same page as us. Will Levis is very clearly the second best quarterback on this roster. There's no debate about that, right? And I've seen him on a lot of 53-man roster projections. He's not on mine. He'll never be on mine because I don't think he should be on the team this year. In a perfect world where, like, there are those types of CEOs who are incapable of how am I trying to phrase this? Like, if you just kind of make your 53-man roster projection with blinders on and you just pick the best players and you just want to pick at every spot, he's the second best quarterback, he should absolutely be on the team. There's that's not how I believe the world works. That's not how I believe football works. Optics matter. Relationships matter. Morale matters. Like, you may not feel sorry for Will Levis, but last year was a tough season. No, I feel sorry. I do. Like, last year was a tough season. Just let him get a fresh start elsewhere. Like, he doesn't want to be here. I doubt he wants to be here, and they shouldn't want him here. Like, they drafted a guy number one. They don't want him here. So to just hold on to him because he's your best backup quarterback, I think is stupid. Even though he's your best backup quarterback, your number two, your second best quarterback on the team, is any Titans fan excited about watching Will Levis play this year? Talk about the doom and gloom, the dread. Like, oh God, I'm so, even more so, I think, than if it's Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle, because you just don't want to relive last year. And
I disagree. I disagree with that from the sense that at least Will Levis is fun from a you never know what he's going to do standpoint.
I don't think so. You had fun. Did you have fun last year?
I wouldn't say I had fun last season, but watching a Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle led offense would make me want to claw my eyes out. And with Will Levis, I'm going to have so many "what are you doing" moments, but at least there will also be wow throws mixed in. Anyway, that's not the point of the conversation. The point is,
I think the Titans are over it. I think Will Levis is over it. I think he needs a fresh start elsewhere. I think the Titans should be more than willing to give him one. For me, I don't have, yes, I know what you were trying to say there. Of course, and I already said he's a better quarterback than the other ones. I don't get any joy if Will Levis has to enter a game this year. It's like, oh God, I'm over it. Like, no, he should get a chance to salvage his career elsewhere. The Titans should trade him. If they were able to trade Malik Willis last year, I think Will Levis has more upside than Malik Willis did, even though Malik has looked okay in Green Bay. I think the general league-wide reputation was probably higher on Will Levis, even still, than it was. So I imagine they do find a trade partner at some point. I imagine he's thrilled the day that comes, and it just you're going to be holding him hostage, I feel like, in all honesty. Like, yes, you could say he's a pro, he's getting paid, I don't feel sorry for him, he's making millions of dollars. Just not the way the optics work. He shouldn't be here.
Yeah, he needs a fresh start for sure. And the Titans, like you said, they don't need him here. And the reason it's like, oh, we don't want to see him. We've already done this. Like, he's not the future. So it was exciting when he was potentially the future of the team and you're trying to figure out if he is or not. Now we know he's not the future of the team. They just spent the number one pick on a quarterback. So get him somewhere else, even if you have to accept a conditional 7th round pick. Like, you don't need Will Levis's energy in the building this year. And Brandon Allen is probably the guy that's going to win the backup job once Levis is traded because of the familiarity with with Brian Callahan in Cincinnati. And so that's my prediction for if I had to pick which two quarterbacks are on the Titans opening day roster. And keep in mind, they might make a trade of Will Levis after that initial 53 cut down. So opening day roster prediction is Cam Ward and Brandon Allen and no other quarterbacks. And God forbid Cam Ward misses time. At least you don't have to worry about winning a meaningless game like the way the Giants and the Patriots did at the end of last season that gave the Titans the ability
Will Levis is
to
a Drew Lock type. He can do that for you, like Drew Lock.
Exactly.
Brandon Allen's entering his sixth, I think it's his 7th season in the NFL this year. It was in Cincinnati for 3 years, not just one. So 2020, 2021, 2022. So multiple years alongside Brian Callahan. Multiple years alongside Brian Callahan, obviously in Cincinnati. With that said, he has appeared in 18 career games, right? This is a below average NFL quarterback, a veteran journeyman who started out in Denver in 2019, spends a couple years in Cincinnati. This past year was in San Francisco. We never talk about that portion. That intrigues me a little, that he got to work behind, under Kyle Shanahan. Clint Kubiak was their passing game coordinator, is now an NFL offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, behind Brock Purdy. Like, this is your typical below average NFL quarterback to a rookie, right? When you don't want there to be competition, you don't want there to be controversy, you just want someone who knows the offense, has worked with the head coach before. Like, he's the perfect candidate for that. Not a lot of upside there.
He's a second QB coach in the meeting rooms. Like, he's going to help provide Bo Hardegree a second set of eyes, essentially, when they're watching film together, both preparing for an upcoming game and reviewing an upcoming game. And that's his role. And honestly, that's what the Titans need. They don't need anyone else in that room.
That is what they need behind Cam Ward. I'm with you. 11 career touchdowns, 8 interceptions. At least he's got a positive TD to interception ratio, because the next guy does not.
Okay, let me take this one really quick. Tim Boyle has played 6 years in the league, 23 game appearances, only 5 starts. His record as a starter, 0-5. His touchdown to interception ratio, 5 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I said it on I think a month or so ago. I said, is Tim Boyle the worst quarterback in the NFL? A case could be made. How he has stuck around this long, I have no idea. It tells you a little about him as a teammate, as a guy in meeting rooms. Like, he must have some value that he brings to a franchise, because it certainly is not on the field playing the quarterback position. I expect he will be kept as a Titans practice squad quarterback in the emergency event that they need to call up a new backup. And otherwise, he gets cut and they claim a different guy, the way like Trevor Siemian wasn't in camp that one year, but then he was claimed and became the backup. Like, it's either Tim Boyle on the practice squad or a random other guy like that. And I would not be excited to watch him play. And I think he's a very bad player. And I just hope that he can provide something behind the scenes, because I don't know what it is that NFL teams see in him that they keep giving him contracts, because he is bad at football. So that's all I have to say on Tim Boyle. If you want to say more, feel free. I'm good to end the episode here, but I will give you a chance to speak on Tim Boyle if you want to.
Yeah, all I'm going to add on Tim Boyle is I think it was Zach Lyons, or I think it was Zach, who did a good job when the Titans signed him, pointing out that Mike Borgonzi last year, Kansas City routinely carried 4 quarterbacks throughout the offseason. So to me, this is a clear, I just like having a 4th arm in training camp. I like having an extra arm during the preseason. That's all this is to me. No, I think there's virtually no chance that he makes the 53-man roster. I do think he's probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. We'll end on that note. I think we're on the same page here. Like, for me, I know, and there are Titans fans who disagree. Let us know in the comments. Like, for me, and I think Will Levis should not be here. They should only carry 2 quarterbacks on the roster. That should be Cam Ward and Brandon Allen. And Brandon Allen has the perfect profile as the backup quarterback to a rookie number 1 overall pick, where he's never going to threaten him. He's never going to look better, but he knows the offense. He's a veteran, high football IQ guy. He knows Brian Callahan. We talked about being a second quarterback coach. I guess it's implied, but like, he's going to help Cam Ward throughout training camp, the preseason, continue picking up this offense. When Cam Ward throws an interception during the regular season, he'll throw at least one. I'm sorry. He's going to throw at least one. And he goes to the sideline and he wants to slam the iPad and break another ping pong paddle. He's going to go find one in the locker room. It's going to be Brandon Allen sitting next to him there with the iPad, next to Bo Hardegree, showing him what went wrong. This is where you read the coverage wrong, yada, yada, yada. Like, that's what Brandon Allen is. To me, this 53-man roster should only have 2 quarterbacks on it, and Brandon Allen is the backup. No questions asked.
There you go. I agree. And I do think Tim Boyle plays every snap of the last preseason game. So we'll get to see him. We'll get to claw our eyes out for one game there. All right, that'll do it. We did it, Justin. We previewed every single player on the 91-man Titans roster heading into training camp. If you missed any of our positional previews, you missed wide receiver. That was one of our better ones. O-line was one of our favorite ones. Edge was a great one. Actually, they were all great. Cornerback was a good one. Running back maybe the least interesting, but go watch it anyway because you support the channel. And I missed some positions in there. Tight end. We did every single position on the Titans roster over the last 10 weekdays. So head back in the feed. If you're watching this on YouTube, scroll through the playlist. If you're on your phone or your podcast, like scroll down in the app and listen to all the previews you missed over this upcoming weekend here as we get ready for training camp. And don't forget to check the channel Sunday late afternoon, evening for the VR video. I don't know how many people are really going to be interested in this topic. I'm excited to find out. I am absolutely fascinated by it. I think it's the future of sports training. And so I can't wait for you guys to see this video.
It's phenomenal.
And that's all we got.
The video is phenomenal. If you enjoyed some of the ones that exploded for us, like the Cam Ward Chosen one, what was it, the Aaron McNair video, like if you enjoyed those this past offseason, how the Titans can build an offense around Cam Ward, like you guys went crazy on those 3 videos. This one is right up there with those. It's an incredible video. I'm not in it. It's all Graver. He put it together. It's phenomenal, though. Make sure you tune in. It's going to blow you away.
Well, I appreciate that, Justin. Thank you. And also, thanks to Sinkers Beverages. Check out the link in the pod description for tickets to Sinkers' 40th birthday jamboree. That'll do it for this week of podcasting on the Music City Audible. Thank you again to everyone out there for tuning in, for helping this channel grow. We are just so overwhelmed with what you guys have shown us, the appreciation and support that you've shown this channel and its growth since basically January. Like we're a totally different video show podcast than we were this time last year, and it's all thanks to the support of you guys who continuously tune in. So thank you. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video. We'll be back next week as training camp really kicks off. I think we're going to do like our final training camp preview, 5 biggest storylines, and that'll drop, I think, Monday night, right before the players report to training camp. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again to everyone. Thanks for a great 2 weeks of podcasts. We'll be back soon. Until then, y'all stay safe out there and tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.